So the part I wanted to talk about was this one, for example. It says Mary Diana. Of course, Mary is the sea and Diana is the moon goddess. And this is symbolism in the names. Now, what I think is that these are to do with electrical energy in these boxes. They're like the electrical boxes that we have now at sub-power stations. However, what I wanted to describe is about the boat is also known as a hollowed out tree, which boats were made of hollowed out trees back in ancient times. So that means a hollowed tree is called hallowed. That's where we get the hallowed ground. So the coffin is a boat or a hollowed out tree, or it's also known as a booth. And it sails to the underworld down the River Styx. So it's taking this this person down the River Styx to the underworld, and this is where they can meet up if they get there for eternal life. So the coffins are the boats to be placed in the water, and they are the gravestones also in the shape of the boats. And the flower pots, when you see the flower pots in the grave, that is the funnel of the boat, and the railings are the decks. It's the railings around the decks. So I just wanted to mention everything that I had thought about. This ground is quite spongy, and it is undulating. This to me is a boat, and that's the funnel on the boat. Everything's maritime, and it's all to do with the sea. We're all lost at sea, we're all dead at sea. We're all dead, in fact. We were lost at sea in 1666. If you take off the one, because that was added on later, instead of the letter I or J. So we're all lost at sea, and it was the Castaway KV Act, and that meant that everyone was lost. So they had to come back within 7 years, or they would have lost everything and could be declared dead. But actually declared dead permanently, basically. But they were actually lost at sea, and that's what we're all classed as now. We're all lost at sea. We're all dead in the water. And this is the ship. This is the ship. And the minister goes up into the pulpit, so that's where he goes up into his cabin, basically, and gives the orders to the crew of the ship. See how much I've got left. I'm going back full circle. This, of course, is a church, otherwise known as a kirk, or Circe, the daughter of Zeus, or the goddess of the sun, Sol Invictus, Sulis. And that is what's being worshipped. It's worshipping the sun disk. And it goes back to Egypt and Mesopotamia, Babylon. What on earth could be below this? I can only imagine. I wouldn't touch it. There is a very faded inscription on the top. I wouldn't touch it. This is charged up with 440 Hertz electrical frequency. Oh, what does that one say? Oh, I can't read that. Oh, I can't read it, unfortunately. I'll just carry on now till the film runs out. Do a round robin. I do believe there's a connection between churches and railways, because the railway stations, they do seem to have a correlation with churches. There's nobody buried in those. There to stop the soil creep. Oh. I realise the body, but there isn't anybody buried there. This one. Remember man that died? After death, returned to dust. Also, the wife of the above. This person died J730. Mary. They're always called Mary. Mary, the daughter. They're always called Mary. So, bird hopping about. You don't see much wildlife in the churchyards, but sometimes you do see the odd bird or the odd, like I saw the squirrel earlier. I like to get a good look with the film because I can often see things later that I didn't spot at the time. People using the pathway as a shortcut right the other way. Looking at. It's very ornate. That's the face. That's another boat. I've got another one. There's one there under that tree. That's amazing. Why would somebody be buried over there like that? Stone there. Must have got the bollards. These for the mooring the ship. Yellow bollards for mooring the ship. My road is waiting for me now. So, on that note, I hope you've enjoyed that second visit to Monyash. And you can see the pub in the distance there. This was the old vicarage. To try to illustrate what goes on under these yew trees. It's all green. Green phosphorescence at night. When the moon shines on it at the full moon, it will light up in green. Green phosphorescence. Now that one is somebody in memory of Mary Needham, who died March 1783 in the 46th year of her age. Again, it's that number 46. But when they put 46 year, it means that they were 45 because it's the 46 years, so they're 45 going on 46. And now coming out of the tree grove, so this is a sacred temple and was there before the church. See how old this part is. This is where one of these buttress parts, and this is, it's got a window in it. So this door is in the shape of a boat, obviously. This looks like an old tree, Christmas tree that's been left stacked up, but that is in the shape of a rod or a staff. So it's all symbolic. Someone's painted on the wall. I don't know what that is. Obviously someone has put graffiti on the wall there. Now this is like if you go on a boat, you will see a small boat. They have the bench on each side, and this is it's the same as a bench on each side. So that's what you would have if you go on a small boat. You have the benches on each side. So this is all showing again all the maritime law. You can tell how old this is. The stonework is really old. It's, well, from the 1100s. Apparently this was erected. So we'll now have another look inside the tree grove itself. And this is what I think is the altar. This is the altar. Now the roots of this tree will stretch out right underneath this burial ground. The roots will stretch a long way and then they reach out and will feed off the corpses. There's somebody here, this one, called William Ashmore. Oh, Anne. Anne. I can't read what that says. 1806, something like that. It's very badly faded. Oh my God. I can't believe I'm actually inside this tree grove. These are sacred tree groves. And it is a temple. I'm now walking inside a temple. There's someone's grave there. Someone aged 70. March the 10th. I can't read the year. Can't read the year. What happens is the branch reaches down and then it goes down and it will go back into the earth and take root again in the earth and come back up again. But this is like a boat with the rails on the boat. All very worn. Now these trees do feed off corpses and they flourish, and they do come in male and female varieties, and they're supposed to be a magical tree of life. There's something magical, there's legends about the Yew Tree being the tree of life, and this derived from it is immortality. The secret has been hidden and kept secret, and anybody who's got the secret must not tell. It cannot be revealed. You can see how this tree, it's like another one can be born out of it, as if it's giving birth to another one. And the shape of it, you can see it's as if that's giving birth to more that's growing out of it. It's giving birth there. I may not be explaining it very well, but this is the legend about the yew trees, and the oldest ones are 5,000 years old. These are so... Hello, it's Miss Havisham. Here I am back again at Monyash. I've decided to come back because there was a part in this direction where I'm going now that I hadn't covered last time. I ran out of film, and also I've got a few other things that I wanted to talk about. So one thing I was going to mention is about the Burials Act, which was decided by Geneva. Authorities in Geneva decided that people should be buried 6 feet below ground. Now this is leading down to the crypt, of course. Look at that. Wow. Oh God. anybody gets down there very often. But it was railed off before, and that was the railings popped up there. I missed that one out last time. I'm just going round this way. And one thing I was going to mention as well regarding maritime law is that the graves which are like this, for example with the railings there, that is depicting a boat, because to all intents and purposes that is a boat on the water, and that is the rail around the boat. Because this is classed as the water that we're in now, this is the ship, it's the main ship, but these are the smaller boats, and of course the gravestones are in the shape of a boat. If you notice the shape, that is the shape of a boat. Now that is not a tomb and never has been, that is an altar. This church was built around the 1100s, depending on what timeline you go on. But it was built after the Northern Crusades, when it was a policy to build these buildings, whatever they were originally built for. They certainly weren't Christian churches, and they were built on the site of former Druid temples. Now this is so unusual. It's got 6 legs. It depicts something, I'm not sure what that is, but the rails around it. These are the Needham family, this one is, that used to run the mills and factories, and employed lots of children. As I mentioned before about this undulating ground, now this, here, it goes up onto this. I've got to step up to get onto this part because the ground goes down towards the church. So the stones, these, there's no one buried there. They've got some writing on whatever, you can't read it, but there's no one buried there. The stones are positioned to stop the soil creep and to stop the ground moving down towards the building itself, because it would be inundated by soil, and it would just mound up against the side of the building, and then the weight of it eventually over time it could build up and just go up to the windows. So that's why these stones are positioned. It's to stop the soil creeping down. I can't see any inscription on this at all, so why it's like that with 6 legs and with these railings, I don't know, but I think it could be something electrical involved there. Oh, this is just the thin veneer on the stone. That's why it can easily be flaked off. I wouldn't touch them at all. I don't touch them because they are charged with electrical frequencies at 440 hertz. It's not a good idea to touch them. If anybody else thinks of touching one of those, don't. So I'm going to go around this way again. You can see that no one's buried there. I've got to step up to see how much this ground has moved, and they've put the stones in to stop the soil creeping. Now, I didn't go over this part last time, so the grass is quite wet actually. There's been lots of rain. I haven't got the waterproof boots on today. It's very rural out here. Lots of farmland. Now, not many people were around prior to the Industrial Revolution, as defined by the fact there were no burial grounds. People were buried in shallow graves with no coffin or even a shroud. Churchyards were not considered as hallowed ground. My foot went down there. Markets, fairs or entertainment took place on these church grounds, and this is in line with the theory that churches were not just built for prayer because they had such thick walls, so they weren't built for prayer originally. People lived a simple existence in rural settings, and Britain was covered in forests. There was a massive increase in population from 1800, and 50% of children died before the age of 12. This is the one I saw last time. It's weird because there's a double stone there. It's been altered. It was John Morton, but the letters have been taken off to say J-O-H. Mort, which means death in French, and the age has been altered. It just says aged 3 years. I think it was something else. They've taken the number out to leave the number 3. I think it's just been altered completely. Ye know that which we shall appear, for we shall see. Can't read the rest of it. Now this is the tree grove there, but I'm going round there shortly. I wanted to just look around this part first. Oh, there's a squirrel there. A squirrel. There's a squirrel. Oh. Now, the churchyards were not overflowing. That's obvious because there's always spare ground. Everywhere I go, there's always spare ground. They weren't overflowing. But cremations began in 1885 in Woking in Surrey. It wasn't popular. But one of the first people who decided to promote this was the Duke of Bedford. Until 1752 in England, which was then called Angle Land, New Year's Day was celebrated on the 25th of March, and the population increased after 1800 by 2/3, despite cholera outbreaks and poor conditions for the poor. This heralded the advent of the workhouse system, and then noticed that the workhouses closed down after World War I because the population had been decimated by the war and the influenza outbreaks in 1917. Over 100 million dead worldwide died in the war and the flu influenza outbreak. Right, so I'm doing 2 jobs at once here, so I'm just trying to look at these sun rays on there, and this one. That's the bird looking down, the bird symbolism. This is not Christian, actually. The bird symbolism is not Christian. And the dove is not a bird of peace either. It isn't a bird of peace. It's all been inverted. So, now again, these types of graves, it's made to look like a boat. That is a boat in the water. Somebody called Bunting. I mean, that does look like the fleur-de-lis shape, of course. It's made to look like a sprig of wheat, but it's not wheat. There's stones under there. Imagine to be able to put the this yew tree grove was here. It's ancient, and it was here before the church building was erected. It is very ancient, and in fact it is a Druid temple that was used to be in the trees, in the tree grove. That was a temple for the Druids, and that's why the churches were then built after the Northern Crusades. A policy was brought in to build these buildings on the site of Druid tree groves and Druid temples. So now I'm going round to the tree grove again, the Yew Tree, which is very ancient, and this was here before the church was erected. Now these trees can live 5,000 years. 5,000 years. This tree will be thousands of years old. Now if we look at this is the rear entrance. This is the rear of the ship. So you could call it the stern of the ship. And if you look at the shape of it, it's in the shape of the birdhouse. This porch, how it's been built, it's in the shape of a birdhouse. This is to do with the birdhouse symbolism. And if we look, man the step, if we look above, that is the ribbing of the boat, of the bottom of a boat. So that's the boat's been turned upside down there to form this porch area, and that is the bottom of a boat. It's actually, now I can't go in this way because it's locked, but this is showing, this is the birth canal, and of course again this door is in the shape of a boat.